Okay, so here we are, IQ's 40th anniversary. So we have a quick discussion about the last 40 years. First of all, did you ever think it would actually last for 40 years?
I didn't think we'd last 40 minutes.
I don't think you ever think about that sort of thing at the beginning of a band's career, do you? I certainly didn't.
No, because you have no idea how it's going to go. I mean, it might be a magnificent success or it might be a total flop. So, you know, I don't think we ever planned beyond the next few weeks, really. I think we were always kind of flying by the seat of our pants a bit. Especially in the early days, you know, all we could do was kind of a slow incremental rise. You know, we'd have 12 people at one gig and perhaps the next week we'd have 14, you know.
As many as that.
Yeah. After 40 years, we might have 30.
What were your original ambitions for the band?
I think the first big ambition was to get a record out because, you know, we did the cassette and you know, we ran off all those copies ourselves in real time in the living room in the flat,
with the fridge going on and off.
Yeah. So we listened to 7 Stories into 8 about 900 times. To do a record, to have somebody else handle that manufacturing side of things was a dream, really. So that was. We
actually said we would not do another album until we'd signed to a major record company.
And 40 years later.
Yeah.
Which is why we called the first label the Major Record Company.
Until the major record company got in touch with us and said, yes, you can't use our name. Yeah.
So have there been any particular highlights that you recall?
None at all, no. It's just been horrible.
I seem to remember around about the time of the Wake, it did start to feel like we were actually doing something and we were a band on the move, you know. It felt like we were on our way up. And I remember thinking, we came back from a gig one night and we were unloading the giant blue van as quietly as we could so we didn't wake Nancy upstairs. I remember thinking, actually, this is a good time. I'll look back on this and remember, because often you think back and think those were the days. And I remember thinking at that point, this is a good time now for the band.
I have very fond memories of the first 3 years, particularly 82 to 85 before I scarpered. I think they were amazing times. And I think for me, you know, I moved to London to be in a band and we gigged everywhere and we drove up and down the motorway in a van that barely worked. And there's a lot of those stories that seem far-fetched, but they're completely true. You know, times when the van broke down and Cookie was under it trying to fix it and all of that stuff.
Also, though, just the fact that we moved to London and London was our playground. We had a great time, I think, then.
Yeah. I think the crucial thing for us being based in London was that we were on the doorstep to play the Marquee. And, you know, we got to play there many, many times. And you know, it was, I don't know, half an hour drive for us where we were living in North London at the time. And the Marquee, I think we were just really, really fortunate to be there at that time, because when that sort of revival, that prog revival thing was happening, which was very short-lived, really. It was kind of 18 months or something. We were in the right place at the right time, and it was definitely centered around the Marquee. And, you know, I look back now and I think we played the Marquee on Wardour Street many, many times. And you read band biographies, band histories, and, you know, they all played the Marquee and they all started at the Marquee. And you think, well, the Marquee that we played at, the same one. So I feel really thrilled that was part of our history and that I was able to do that, you know, that I was able to play at the Marquee and, you know, share those times with the people in the band. And it was
more than that, though, it became our local. We got to know the management, and we would, more often than not, if we went out for a drink, we'd go and hang around in the marquee, and whoever was playing, we'd stay in the bar and have a pint.
It was incredible. It really was. I mean, you were there, Mark, and the other bands. People like to think there was a kind of a rivalry. There was sort of a friendly rivalry. We were all trying to slightly outdo each other, but not in a horrible, spiteful way. I don't remember it like that at all.
I think we enjoyed going to see the other bands, to be honest.
Yeah, all these, the other bands, 12th Night, Palace, Pendragon. We would, like Mike says, it was our place to be, and it was a really exciting environment.
But
and
also
to play there as often as we did was
not just prog.
Not just prog. Howard Jones.
Exactly. We went to he had a residency, didn't he? Wednesday
on a Monday night.
And we went to all of those.
He had far fewer people in than we did. That was the thing.
He did, yeah.
And he had hits at the time. I'm thinking, well, we're selling it out. What's wrong?
But also at that time, I think there was a lot to do with the fans, because I mean, there's a big resurgence in like fanzines and stuff, and so
yeah.
The fans themselves were following all the bands. I mean, they had favourites, I suppose, but it was more of a case of let's all stick together in these things and support the bands as they were.
Mm.
So, do you have any particular regrets over the last 40 years?
Yeah, probably loads. I think for me, my big regret around the time of the Wake is that we didn't talk, or I didn't talk to anybody. I just kept it all inside. I just bottled it all up, and I don't know what was going on with me. To this day, I don't know what was going on, and I should have just spoken with the band and talked with the band, and I never did. But I think we were kind of thrown into a band together. We kind of didn't get together as as friends who form a band. I think the first time I met Tim and Cookie and probably Widge was kind of when I joined the band. These are the people that you're now in a band with, which is all a bit weird. Mike and I had known each other for a few years, and he kind of brought me into the band, really. And I don't quite know how Tim and Cookie feel about that now, if they kind of thought, who the hell's this guy, So it all kind of came together in a weird sort of way, I think. So, to have a 40-year history is astonishing, really. I mean, 3 of us have left and come back, but for the band still to exist and, still to have these people in it, and Neil has been here, 10, 11 years now, is it, Neil?
I think so, 10 and a half.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah. For it to have survived and to still be strong and, still doing new stuff, I think is brilliant.
Okay, well, I know you had a lot of things planned for your 40th anniversary, but of course, with the global events over the past couple of years, put it all into stasis, really. So what have you been doing since the pandemic struck?
Well, we've done the live streams. We did. I can't. Oh, how many did we do? 3, Mike?
We did 4.
4.
They were memorable.
We had the Show of Resistance show from Aschaffenburg, and then we had the Ever Live also at Aschaffenburg. Then we did the Subterranea show for our Christmas bash. It was an online Christmas bash, and that was December. All the time thinking, okay, well, in a couple of months we'll be able to be back on the road and we don't need to do another one. And then after about 3 or 4 months after Christmas, we suddenly, we got to realize that it's not going to end anytime soon, which is why we did the IQ30 show. Was that in May this year, I think?
I think it was, yeah.
Yeah. So there's been 4 streams altogether. And to be honest, that's what I've been doing a lot of the time during lockdown, is because each of those had to be mixed and edited, which not being in the studio takes quite some time.
And what was the response like to them?
Say again?
What was the response like to them?
Really great, really great. I think people just appreciated the fact that we were kind of reaching out to them to say, we're still here and isn't this crap? Let's pretend we're at a gig and have a good time, which is why after the first two, we actually had like half an hour of walk-in kind of music and some images, because it was at Zoetermeer. We had some images of people setting up at Zoetermeer at the Border Eye, and we did the gig, and then we had half an hour of see you in the bar afterwards, trying to make it as much like a real gig as we could. And yeah, I think people really appreciated it. So much so, in fact, that for the Prog Awards, we were voted, the IQ live streams were voted something like number 8 best thing to happen last year, which was incredible considering we didn't even think about any kind of Prog Award or something. So that was great. Really nice thing to see.
Yeah, because it's, I mean, I know a lot of people were doing, internet-based things to try and interact with the audience, but I think it was quite, as a fan point of view, I think it was nice that these were 4 shows, complete shows that had never been seen before, which, does make it a special event, because it is like going to another gig. It's something you haven't seen before, and there were 4 different shows as well, which is very interesting.
But what also I think worked really well was the fact that people were able to chat to each other during the show. They had the live chat feature, which I think was quite cathartic, really. I think people were thinking, I can finally connect with someone. The people are still out there and I can actually chat with them. Because it's been a pretty tough 18 months for everybody, I think.
So it's more of a sharing thing than just a...
Also, IQ gigs, there are a lot of people who know each other in the audience, and part of the reason they come is to see each other and not just to see the band. And it's a real social event for people, which I guess people have been missing. And so to be able to recreate that with the live streams was quite nice, I think.
So when do you think you'll be able to get out again on tour?
Well, we've got the London show in December, the Christmas show, and the Christmas show in Holland as well. I don't know. It's hard to predict these things, but I think the London show will happen. I don't know about the Dutch one. I don't know if that's going to... The travel situation is very difficult because of COVID, but also with the Brexit thing. That's kind of really blown a hole in a lot of stuff for people now.
We should also mention at this point, though, the fact that we were down to play a couple of gigs in Spain and a couple of gigs in Italy this year. And it's been kind of agreed with the promoters that it's best to postpone those until next year as well, which is a real pity. But I think it's probably the wise thing to do. Spain is now going to be September next year, and we're still negotiating with the Italian guys about when we'll do the rescheduled gigs over there. So like Pete said, hopefully our first gigs in almost 2 years are going to be London, which is it December the 10th?
10th, yeah, 10th.
That's at the 229 Club, somewhere we've never played before. And then hopefully, if by some miracle the stars align, we can actually play Zoetermeer on the 11th, on the Saturday. But at the moment, we're not allowed into the country. So who the hell knows?
That's not just IQ, that's everybody, isn't it?
Yeah.
No, it's just us. They just don't like us.
That has happened before.
Peter, you mentioned the Brexit thing. I mean, how is that going to impact you in terms of playing European gigs?
Well, this is still very much an unknown commodity. We don't know. We know it has affected everything, and certainly we're kind of back to the old days of carnets and border controls and stuff like that, as far as I can gather. But I think there are also limitations on how long we can stay out there and how much we can take out and bring back. I don't know. There's a lot of research that still needs to go ahead, but I think right now any travel in Europe is pretty fraught and uncertain. So I honestly don't know how it's going to affect us. We've been speaking, saying, well, maybe we need to do more UK stuff. That might be what we have to do in the short term. I don't know, but I think that
sort of like the early days of going to the US and sort of like more subterfuge and.
Well, yeah, hiding stuff in suitcases. Well, it does feel a very backward step to have to be going back to doing all this stuff again. Not making a political point about it, but it has affected a lot of people's work. I think we also need to get visas, work permits to go and play in Europe and stuff now.
The thing about that is really that no one's done it yet, not on any level. None of the big bands have done it yet. Post-Brexit, none of the small bands have done it yet. So there's a lot of rumours flying around about how awful it's going to be. We don't know yet. It might be awful for the people that are transporting all the equipment. And it'll probably be a lot more expensive for us to tour out in Europe. That's one of the main things. So, it might be an affordability thing that's going to restrict us based on, the kind of venues we play and the number of people we play to. So it's all really unknown. And there's so many rumours flying around about. The latest one was that a truck can only make so many stops when it goes over there from this country. So you'd have to take your stuff over in one truck and then get a European or an EU truck to truck it around Europe and then get your truck to come and pick it up again. All that's going to be really expensive. So, whether you believe that, whether we believe that or not, we'll have to see. But it's all going to come out in the wash, hopefully.
Yeah, I get this, the feeling that based on what else has happened is that it's not just you or bands that have this lack of understanding. It's probably also the countries themselves.
Yeah, it's different in every country, though, apparently. Even though it's the EU, they're all still allowed to have different requirements for visas or work permits or whatever. So going from country to country might be difficult. Not that, we kind of don't tend to do that. We don't do massive European tours, which is going to be a benefit on our side. We tend to go to one country per weekend, 2 tops. So it might not be that difficult for us, really.
On the plus side, we do have a lot of people in Europe that are really friendly and really want to help us get out there and gig again. Yeah. So I think if we work in conjunction with those, I think we should be able to find a way around things. I mean, it might be a bit more expensive, but we just don't know.
The future then.
But we will find out.
So what did you have planned for celebrating, other than gigs, as a celebration of the 40th anniversary? Did you have any special releases?
There's a couple of things. One is the archive collection, which is over the years we've kind of released these archive collection CDs, which have been live recordings or rarities, studio outtakes, or the Christmas album, all that sort of stuff. And so what we've done is put together a collection of all the discs that were released between 2003 and 2017. Mm-hmm. So it's 11 CDs, and there's a Blu-ray of the 2 IQ40 shows, the Subterraneous show and the IQ30 show that we did in 2011. So we streamed those, but these are now, they were filmed in HD, video HD, and so they're on a Blu-ray, which is only available with this set. So it's a really nice, it's kind of an LP size package, and it's a 52-page book with copious comments from band members and all the artworks from the original releases reproduced. So it's a really nice package, and that should be out this year, we hope, won't it, Mike?
We're hoping. We finally agreed the artwork, the final bits of the artwork last night. So we're hoping to have that out maybe mid to late September. but it's really nice, a 12 disc thing. And like Pete says, it's album size. So it just looks like a nice thing to hold in your hands and peruse, if you're allowed to say that word.
I think what's nice about the people who follow IQ is that the people of a certain age, he said diplomatically, still like to have the physical product. You know, I think maybe it's a generational thing that younger people just download stuff, but I think we still remember the halcyon days of the 70s when you'd get gatefold sleeves and stuff. And I still think that, I mean, our vinyl releases sell out very quickly. You know, there's still a real thirst for vinyl. And I think people like to have the physical product, especially if it's a nicely designed and put together piece of work, you know. I think the thing with this archive collection is, you know, there's tons of stuff from the band members. So you can listen to the discs and read our comments at the same time. So there's new content in there. You know, I think some people have probably got some of the discs, but not everyone's got all of them because they were all kind of limited edition releases at the time.
This is the other thing. I mean, some of these discs are now going for £40 or £50 each on eBay and Discogs. And we didn't really want to re-release them because we did say it was a limited edition and it seemed unfair to just put them out again. But at the same time, there's a lot of people that are missing bits from the collection, and there's a lot of other people that haven't got any of it. So we thought this was a nice way of making it available again, really.
Yeah, because there's that remix album, isn't it, which only ever came out for the one gig in the UK. So, you know, it'd be very, very sought after by especially people abroad. And then there was the Christmas albums, of course, which was another giveaway.
Yeah, the other thing to mention really about releases is that we have, when we did the Subterranea show for the Christmas live stream, there was lots of people asked us if we were going to be releasing it either as a video or audio. And we did discuss it, but it just felt a bit like, oh, Tim's gone. It did feel a bit like we were kind of profiteering from the whole stuff, you know, releasing yet more archive collection stuff. I mean, it's a bit silly really, because I know that people wanted it, but we discussed it and thought rather than put out a CD of the Subterranea Live, why don't we do it on vinyl instead? So that's what we're doing. We've got a triple release, three 12-inch records with a triple gatefold and all printed inner sleeves this time, which is really nice, because on the front cover there's a picture of the bars, the Subterranea bars, and in between the bars we've got a die cut, so that's actually cut out. And when you put in the printed inner sleeve, you can see the person behind the bars. So in effect, there's 6 different front covers for this vinyl release, which is really nice. But also, each disc is going to be printed on a different color marble effect, just because why not? You know, people love that kind of thing. And like Pete was saying, we all love stuff that you can hold in your hand and collectible stuff. But on top of that, there's a 6-page lyric sheet. So that's another like triple fold thing, which looks lovely.
I remember when Welcome Back, My Friends, you know, the ELP triple album, when that came out, and I was on holiday in North Wales and I bought it, and I would just spend hours looking at it in the hotel that we were in, thinking, I just can't wait to play this.
Yeah.
And it was the weight of it and the fact that it opened out on one side and then on the other side, then there's 3 records in there. And it was just a magical feeling, thinking there's this massive thing full of music that I like, but being frustrated that I couldn't play it. So it's the same kind of thing, I think, with this. It's about making a really nice, desirable product that you want to keep and you want to get some kind of, you know, sensory enjoyment out of.
So, I mean, you haven't played live for be a couple of years. I mean, how long is it going to take you to get back to being on top form?
Well, as it happens, we do have a rehearsal in a couple of weeks' time. The first one for 18 months, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess we'll find out then, really.
Like when you were saying right at the start, Mark, you know, what plans did we have? There was something every year. You know, there was always something going on. Some years were quieter than others, but there was always IQ stuff going on. So this is the first time, and you know, we're not alone in this. Lots of bands and artists have had this enforced kind of reset time, but this is the first time since '81 that the band has kind of not been able to play live for any length of time. I don't quite know how it's going to feel when we do it again. I don't know if it's going to be easy or if it's going to take a while for the wheels to start grinding into action. I don't know really, but it's true. I mean, I've got a couple of gigs coming up, and I don't know how I feel about going to them really. So it's still in that kind of unknown phase. You know, I don't know. Do we all wear masks in the audience? Do we stand 2 meters apart? You know, apparently we don't have to do that anymore.
No.
But I think it's kind of ingrained in us now, and I think, you know, you can get used to anything given enough time. And even now, when I'm in the queue at the supermarket, if someone's standing too close to me, I kind of, you know, feel under threat a little bit and kind of give them a dirty look. So we're kind of used to that now, and I think it's hard to let that go because we still have the virus. It's hard to know how free we can be, you know, in kind of the physical situation. So I don't know how the audience are going to feel. I don't know how I'm going to feel watching a gig. It's an unknown commodity really at this stage.
So how do you perceive the future of IQ? I mean, you've got gigs lined up up until September next year by the sound of it. So yeah, there's going to be an IQ40 at least.
Neil, how are you feeling about playing gigs again?
Well, I can't remember anything about how all the songs go or how I wire up my equipment.
What the band's called.
No, we're lost, aren't we?
Yeah, I think probably after the next rehearsal, it'll probably feel a little bit more normal. You know, I think once we remember generally how things go and so on. I mean, as the actual pandemic, I don't know what it's going to be like by Christmas. Hopefully it will have all calmed down a little bit, although there's the winter coming up, so who knows. We may be stuck with problems for quite a while. But I would imagine after 2 years not playing, I think that the fans are going to really love coming and seeing the band again and just experiencing gigs again. I think it's going to be, I imagine the atmosphere is going to be really good.
I think it'll be a mixture of relief on one hand, and the fact is that there is a more normal experience, and also the as you said earlier about the fans knowing each other. It'd be the opportunity for reconnecting with people. Which will be a big thing, and there are always, you know, the IQ gigs are IQ parties. Really, they are people getting together, having a good time, and joining in with things, and because of the you're not a band that is shut away and ignores people. You do interact with fans, and that does make it an experience, I think, for people. So I think it will be a very interesting time to see how they react, but I don't see there being any problem in getting back into the swing of things in terms of the IQ experience.
This is the thing. I think for us, I mean, it's good to get together with the band and everything, but I think we're all just really looking forward to going out and meeting people again. And that's one of the things that I like about IQ gigs, is that we go along and, you know, have a good time on stage, but then we go to the bar afterwards and actually get to chat to people that we've known for almost as long as we've known each other, really.
Yeah. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, catching up with old friends. Yeah.
I mean, this is the thing. We talk about the IQ family, but I think that really is how we see it. Not only the people in the band, but obviously the crew. That we're all part of the same thing, and that extends even to the audience. Like Neil says, there's always faces that we know, and there's always lots of hugs and everything. So it's, for the time that we've got, who knows how long IQ will exist for, from this point. But for the time that we've got, I think my personal feeling is it's a really precious place to be. We can still do something really great together musically, and we can connect with friends, all over the world, really. The feeling within the band these days is very, very, very good, very harmonious, and I think we're all grateful and all appreciative of the fact that we're in a really good place.
I am going to have to be a bit careful because over the last 18 months, I think I've had a total of about 3 bottles of beer. So when it comes to gigs,
yeah,
it's not unknown that I like a couple of pints before I go on stage. And I'm really not sure how that's going to affect me. So the plan might be interesting for the first gig.
Just go for it.
Bill
Horizontal Michael Holmes.
Have a few practice runs. We'll have to have a rehearsal of the drinking as well.
That's not a bad idea. Yeah.
Right. Well, thank you very much for your time and participation. It sounds like there's a lot of good stuff coming up ahead.
Yeah.
Thanks once again.
Thank you.
And see you at a concert.
Hopefully we'll see you all at the next Christmas show.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
Bye.